On this section, I'll be walking you through understanding CICD pipeline and so on. Alright, so let's go through how we can be able to create our automated CICD pipeline. So we're going to be integrating Jenkins with some other DevOps tools. So we're going to build our pipeline. We're going to connect our two servers together. When test server build and stable, then the production server will pick up from there. So remember, the code pass through the test server. If the build is stable, then production server will pick up and build for the production. Alright, so let's see how we can be able to do this. Step 1, before that, open your GitHub account and import the below repository. Follow the image below. So all you need to do is to copy this link, copy the link and go to your repository, which is your GitHub. So when you go to your GitHub, this is not how it's gonna look. So all you need to do is to click right here on your GitHub. Click right here and click import repository. It's gonna show you this way. So you can see this is how it's gonna look. When you click right here, click on import repository, it's gonna show you right here. Then paste the link on here. Then you need to name it the same name. You can just copy the DevOps IQ and paste right here. Click on public and click on import. Alright, so just like that. And when you click on import, it's gonna show you this page. After finish importing, this is what you're gonna see. So the next thing you need to do, click right here to get back to your repository. Go back to your repository. So you're gonna find the project repo like this. Alright, so let's go back to instruction and see what next we have to do. Step 2, install Docker on both test server and prod server with the below commands on terminal. Alright, so remember we have test and prod server that we created last time on our last session. So right now we need to install our Docker on these two servers. Alright, so Docker is a container. Don't worry, by the time we proceed, you're gonna know more about Docker. Alright, so copy that and make sure you log on to your server. This is my test server and this is my production server. Alright, so I need to install Docker on them both. Click that, click that, and go to my production server, which is prod server. Then enter the same thing. Alright, so now we install Docker. Alright, so step 3, open Jenkins dashboard, click create a job. So we already know about how to get to our Jenkins. So copy your Jenkins master IP, which is gonna be your master. All you need to do is go right here, copy this, go to the browser, paste and add port 8080, and it's gonna come up with this page. But you're gonna sign in with your login credential. So by the time you log into your Jenkins, this is what you're gonna see. You already know your Jenkins is your IP of your master :8080. Then you enter your username and password, then it's gonna take you to this page. Alright, so what we're gonna do, so we're gonna click right here to create a job. So click that and let's go back to the instruction. Name the project as test project. Alright, so I'm just gonna copy this and select freestyle project option. Alright, so go back right here, paste test project, click on freestyle project and click OK. Alright, so it's gonna bring you to this general tab. So let's go back to the next thing we need to do. Alright, so that's that. Step 4, check on GitHub project under general tab, place your Git repo HTTPS URL link under the project URL as shown below. Alright, so basically what we need to do is to go back to your GitHub, click go back to your repository, click on the project. So it's gonna bring you to this page. All you need to do is to click under the code, copy HTTPS, not SSH, HTTPS, copy that. Let's go back to the Jenkins dashboard. So GitHub project right here, GitHub project, click right here, then it's gonna pop up this project URL, paste the link on there. Then let's go to the step, still under the general tab, check on restrict where this job can be run, add test server there, add test server. Alright, so you can copy this or just make sure you type it. Restrict where this job can be run right here. Click on this place, then it's gonna come up with this. Type uppercase T, then it will pop up your test server. Uppercase T, make sure you use this name. So type it, enter it, don't leave no space. It's gonna show no agent cloud, so don't leave no space. Make sure you click back, then it's gonna be this way. Make sure you see label test server. Alright, so that's it. Let's go back and verify if everything is alright. So we've done that. So the next thing we need to do is to go to the source code management tab, click on Git, add the Git repository URL link there as well, and click save. Alright, so we need to go back here under the source code. You can just navigate right here under this tab, then under the source code click on Git and paste the same URL on there. Remember, we place our URL GitHub link repo on 2 places. Alright, so that's all we need to do, and click save. Alright, so remember we have a URL right here, then we have a URL right here, GitHub project, and under the source code management. Alright, so make sure you confirm that and click save. Alright, so let's go back to the instruction. We're done with that. So step 5, go back to your test server node on Jenkins dashboard, click on the server node and copy the script I've seen below and run on test server CLI to connect to Jenkins master. Alright, so basically we already see the image of what they want us to do. So go back to your Jenkins and go back to your dashboard, click on the test server right here. That is gonna come up right here. So the next thing you need to do is to copy the script on your test server. Go back to your test terminal, test server terminal, paste on there. So make sure it's connected before you proceed. Alright, so now our test server already pick up and started. Alright, so let's go back to the instruction and see what next we have to do. So right, we done this. So make sure you see it's connected. So step 6, go back to the Jenkins dashboard, click on the test project and click on build now. If the building is done without any error, there will be green check in the building history. Alright, so this is how it's gonna look. Let's go back to our project. So go back to the dashboard right here, click on the project and come back right here and click on build. Click only once and you're gonna see the build right here, building. So just wait until it's finished building, and if it's green, that means everything is built successfully. Alright, so great. Alright, so let's go back to what we have next we have to do. So click on the build output, number 1, click on the console output. Just in case you build and it becomes red, you want to check the log with the reason why it has error, the reason why it couldn't build. All you need to do is to go to click on the arrow down, then you're gonna see the console output, click on console output. So if it shows you red, it's gonna show all the log of how it builds. So you can see this one, you can see right now building remotely on test server. You can see where it built from, the project. So you can see how it built successfully. If it becomes red, so it's gonna show why it fails on here too. And right now we have a successful build, so we're good. Alright, so let's go back to the instruction and see what next we have to do. So step 7, let's verify by going to the test server CLI and run the below commands. So let's go and verify the build. You can see the output, how it built everything, and it sent it to the server, cloned our repository and all that. Alright, so let's go back to our terminal. So I'm gonna go back to my terminal. So this is the terminal of my test server, but I don't want to disconnect it, so I'm gonna pop up another terminal by click on this place, right click and duplicate. Alright, so now I have another duplicate, so I'm gonna log on to my test server on here too, because I don't want to disconnect it. I need it to be running, and at the same time I need to access the server. Alright, so let me go back to my instance. That's my test server. I'm gonna connect to it on different terminal. And alright, so I have it running, connected, and I have it right here. Alright, so let me move it. Alright, so the next thing, let's do ls we're gonna see workspace. This workspace wasn't there earlier on until we click the build. Remember, I built from Jenkins master, and this is slave, which is test server. All right, so let's go back to the instruction and see the next thing. cd workspace. All right, so let's do ls. So you can see the repository file there. This means the Git repository has been successfully cloned into the test project. And as we can see right here on the console output, you can see that how it pull, you can see how we clone it and all that. All right, so let's go further and see the next thing we need to do. So now let's deploy the code in our Git repo. So we've already cloned it. Let's deploy it into the server. Step 8. Now go back to your Jenkins test project, configure, and click on build tab. Go to execute share, copy and paste the below script, and click save. All right, so basically this is what they want us to do. Go to my test project right here, go to configure under the test project, go to configure, then let's go back, then under the build tab, go to execute shell. So I'm gonna copy this one, I'm gonna copy this part, then go right back here, and under the build tab right here, then go right here, click on add build step, click on execute shell under the add build step under the build tab. Click that, then it's gonna open command line, then paste that right there. All right, so let's go back and see what else we have to do. So paste and save. All right, so we paste right and save. All right, so it's gonna bring us back here. All right, let's see what next we have to do. Step 9, before building our job again, we must add one arbitrary container in test server. Add container by performing the following command. So remember, we need to start up a container. Don't worry, you're gonna know about container by the time you get to Docker. So this is the reason why we install Docker at first. Go to your test server and run this. So let's run this one. So it's gonna install Ubuntu server for us. All right, so now we get the Ubuntu latest. All right, so let's do sudo docker ps, so you can see the Ubuntu image. All right, so by the time you get to Docker, you're gonna understand more better anyway. Step 10, now open Jenkins dashboard and click on build to build a project. All right, so let's go back to right here and let's click on build. It's building now. Before we have nothing to build, now we have something to build. So let's build in, and if everything is green, then we good. All right, so green, bingo. So let's go to the console output so you can see how it builds. Workspace project, you can say repo, verify, it run all the code or the images, and it built successfully. All right, so this is how we can be able to see how our code build. If there's any error or issue, this is where we're gonna come and find it. All right, so let's go back to our project. Let's go back to the instruction and see what next we have to do. All right, so we're good. So step 11, now open the browser and enter test server IP with port 82. Then we should see a blank white page. All right, so let me go back. After we build, let's go back to my terminal, to my test server. Click on this part, copy the public IP, come to my browser, paste hard:82 and enter, and you should be able to see a white blank page. All right, so after seeing the white page, which is the Docker blank page, this is the container, but it's empty. All right, so let's go back to the instruction. The next thing we need to do is to copy /DevOps and copy that, come back to your web browser URL, then add a paste right there. So make sure it's /DevOps and hit enter. Then you should see the blue background. All right, so let's go back to the instruction and see. So now let's create a new project and call it production. So we're gonna do the same thing. It's the same thing. The same thing we did on test server is the same thing we're gonna do on production server. but the only thing right now is the name is going to be different. Remember, we have test server and prod server, and on our Jenkins we created project. So we have the first project, we call it test project, and we link the test project to our test server, which is test server right here. And now we're going to create another project. We're going to call that project production. So test server and production server. The test is to test the application or software to see how it's acting. If everything works fine, then the same code is going to be pushed into production server, where it's going to be available to the public. So that's basically what we're doing. All right, so let's go back to the instruction and see step 12. Go back to Jenkins dashboard and click on new item, enter project name as production. So I can just copy this name and go back to my Jenkins. So I'll go back to my Jenkins dashboard, can click right here, take you back to the dashboard, then click on new item. We've done first project test server built successfully. That means everything is good, there's no error. Then let's go and build production server. That's 2 servers, 2 projects. Test, everything work fine, then we're gonna build project on the production. All right, so let's create a new item. I already copied the name production. I'm gonna paste right here, click on freestyle project, click on OK. So let's go back and see what we need to do. Step 13, click on restrict where this job can be run and enter prod server. So I can as well copy this and then click on GitHub project. Enter your GitHub repo URL link as well. So like I said, we're gonna do the same thing. So restrict where this job can be run right here. Then we're gonna make it a prod server. We're gonna make it restrict where this job can be run. So it's gonna be prod server. So make sure you don't see that error. All right, so make sure it become blue. So let's go back and click under the Git. Then we need to add our GitHub repo URL. So let me go back to my Git repo, copy the same link, HTTPS, then come back right here, then paste it right here. So let's go back and see what next we need to add. All right, we're done with that. So now go back to the Jenkins and do the same thing. So the next thing we need to do, go back to the Jenkins. Let's save that. All right, now go back to your Jenkins production project. Click configure, click on build tab, go to execute shell, copy and paste it below. So the same thing we did, the only difference right now is production. The other one is test project. All right, so I can as well copy this. All right, so we go back to the same place, go down to the build tab, click on hard build step, execute shell. The same thing we did on test server, paste that. This is production. The other one is test. All right, so that's all we need to do. So before building our job, so make sure you save and come out of that. So that's all we need to do, save that. So before we build, we need to do the same thing we did on test server. We need to go and install Ubuntu to set up our arbitrary container. All right, make sure my test server is running. All right, so copy this, let's run this on our production server. So this is my production server, so paste that on my production. So now we're downloading Ubuntu image. All right, if we do docker ps sudo docker ps. All right, so we should see our Ubuntu server start up. All right, so let's go back and see what next we need to do. Step 16, now open Jenkins dashboard, go to the production project and click on build to build the project. So the same thing we did, click on build and we just see our build startup right here. Oh, it's off. All right, so the next thing we need to do, go back, I think we skipped that part. We need to start production. You can see the production server is off link. All right, so click on the production copy this part, go back to the production server and run that right here. Then run that, you should see connected. Alright, so now let's go back and build. You can see our production is building already. Alright, let's go back right there. Let's go back to the dashboard, go back to the production, and you can see this building. If everything works fine, then we should see our green check. Bingo. Alright, so we can do the same thing, console output. Alright, so we can see how everything build. Let's go back to the instruction and see what next we have to do. So the next thing we need to do is to go back to the production server IP and do the same thing. So let's go back to the production server IP. It's my production. I'm gonna click right here, copy this, go back to this place, paste, and add 82, enter. You should see the white page. Then I'm gonna add a slash. Let's go back and copy that to make it faster. I'm gonna go back right here and copy this. I should see the same blue page. Alright, so let's go back to the instruction page and see. So step 18. Now we will configure to trigger production server project only when test project job build and stable. So go to the test project job, click on configure, go to the add post build action, then go to the build other project, choose from the list trigger only if build is stable, and add production server, then click OK. Yeah, this sounds like it's long, but it's pretty simple. All you're gonna do is copy this and go to the test project. Alright, so go back to your Jenkins, go back to the dashboard, go to the test project, and go to the configure under the post build action. Under the post build action, go right here, click right here under the post build action and click on build other project, and on here, by the time you type P, it's gonna pop out production. So put that right there. So make sure it doesn't have a space on there, make sure it doesn't have. Alright, so make sure it becomes this way. So why we're doing this is because we want when test server finish building, the production server should build. So test server have to finish building before production server will build. So if test server is not stable, that means it has error, then the production server will not build. Until one finish running, the next one will not run. So if the test server have issue, the production server will not pick up to build. So if the test server pass through successfully, only then the production server will pick up and build. Alright, so make sure you do that and save. Alright, so let's go back to the instruction and see what next we have to do. So, alright, so this brings us to the end of the part 1 of CICD. And on our next session, we're going to complete building our pipeline so we can be able to see it in graphical view. So this brings us to the end of this section, and I hope you learn. Thank you.